Let's bring in AJ Jakubec now. He is the voice of the CEBL team in Ottawa. But right now, the on a roll Ottawa REDBLACKS. AJ, before we go any further, are they back? Are the REDBLACKS back?
I'm not 100% convinced yet. But the one thing that they've done, Roddy, is just they've won a couple of games that they would have lost the last 4 years. They were losing. They were just finding ways to lose the last 4 years. And the Hamilton game is a prime example. They had a couple of controversial calls, whether they should have gone for him or against him. I mean, I don't know. The command center, I couldn't tell you what pass interference and what isn't pass interference when they go to the command center anymore, because I have no idea. Just spin that wheel and see what it comes down on. And okay, well, I guess it's not pass interference in this instance. So, look, they had a couple of controversial calls go against them, and they give up a late score with 28 seconds to go. And you're thinking, well, here we go again. We've seen this movie a few times in the last 4 years, and especially last season when they just found ways to lose. But with 28 seconds left, they got the big return, a couple of first downs, and next thing you know, Lewis Ward kicks the game-winning field goal. So they've won a couple of those so far this season. They haven't been overly convincing, but they're 2-1, and now playing a Bombers team that I don't think too many people expected to be 0-4. They're banged up. Their offense hasn't been good. So I think we'll get some more answers to those questions this weekend in Winnipeg.
Look at you looking ahead already, but just hang on. There's, as you know, because you're an Edmonton guy, but you've been in Ottawa a long time, probably longer than you've been anywhere else. But there has been a narrative across the country, because I hear it, that Ottawa isn't good CFL fans because they've had two teams fold before. And I know that it's not the fans' fault; it's the team's fault. But people don't seem to understand that. And I'm watching that game the other night, and the fans are just deliriously happy in the stadium. It's like you guys have been winners for the last decade since coming back into the CFL. Like, your fans are great, is my point. And they've really stuck with the team through some pretty crappy times here lately.
I think so. I think so as well. And I think Ottawa's a very underrated sports city when you look at, like, we're going to have 12 teams next year. If you include, like, the Ravens and the GGs, Carleton, Ottawa, and the programs that they have, and they're all well supported, like 25,000 for the Panda game between Ottawa and Carleton. They get 10,000 for Capital Hoops when the Ravens and GGs play each other. Highest drawing team of the PWHL in the inaugural season, drawing consistently over 5,000 for soccer here. So, and this was the first city to sell out in one city the entirety of the World Juniors. Back in 2009, the infamous Eberle goal against the Russians. And then, of course, they beat Sweden for gold. So, and you've got not just the NHL, but you've got two major junior teams here. And they're both in the top third in attendance in their respective leagues, the 67s in the OHL and the Gatineau Olympiques in the Q. So, yeah, and back to the REDBLACKS fans. I mean, 14 wins in 4 years. That's what it was. Now it's 16 in 4 and a bit. But they've given them a lot of reasons not to come on the field. They had over 20,000 for the last game, which they only cracked. Like last year, crowds were mainly 18, 19,000. They had one that cracked 20. The fact that they cracked 20 for that game against Hamilton. Now, they brought in Big Rec, so that certainly helped, and the weather was good. But the fans here, if you give them a team to support, and it doesn't have to be 12-6, they just need to be competitive, the fans will come out.
Yeah, I love that town, and so I know exactly what you're saying, but it just people, unless you go there and spend some time, you wouldn't know. So I'm glad that you took the opportunity to kind of extol the virtues of Ottawa. Well, you're already thinking about the game Friday at Winnipeg, obviously. So what's your preview of that one?
Well, by the way, I'm a big Canada soccer guy. That's right in the middle of Canada-Venezuela quarterfinals at Copa. So it's kind of killing me that I missed the Argentina game in the middle of the Montreal game. Feels like every REDBLACKS game is right in the middle of Canada's run here at Copa America. But I'll be focused on the game. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. I mean, Winnipeg, I felt last year like their aura of invincibility had gone. And I wasn't surprised. I was one of the few that took Montreal to beat them in the Grey Cup. So that's gone, and I think that's half the battle. Is teams go into Winnipeg now believing that they can be competitive, believing that they can win football games. But offensively, I mean, right now these are the two worst offensive teams scoring points in the CFL. We're 4 weeks into the season, and Ottawa's only played 3 games, but the Bombers the only team averaging under 20 points a game. So it doesn't help that Kenny Lawler's out with a broken arm. It certainly doesn't help that Dalton Schoen is out for the season. Now they brought in Lucky Whitehead. I'm really leery of writing off the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, given their head coach, Zach Collaros and all the veterans from Willie Jefferson to Adam Bighill to Nick Dembski and on that they have on that roster. But I feel like this is a massive game for Winnipeg. So I'm still thinking Winnipeg should be the favorite going into this one. But my goodness, if Ottawa can find a way to squeak out another win on the road, that will maybe boost their hopes to believe that they are for real this year. And boy, I mean, we've seen teams go 0-5 and win the Grey Cup before. BC did it. We've seen teams go 0-9 in this league and make the playoffs. Montreal did it in 2014. So you're never really out of it in the CFL, but this feels like must-win territory real early for the Bombers against Ottawa on Friday.
As what a start we've had. Great games, and again, that's why we love the CFL. But I'm going to wind it up with this, AJ. I'm selfishly going to ask you just your simple take on why the Senators got rid of Jakubec Chychrun, because his dad's become a very close friend of mine, and I know Jeff's dad, John, who's from Good Eve, Saskatchewan, they didn't want Jacob to leave Ottawa. Jacob didn't want to leave Ottawa.
Yeah.
And he still had a year left on his deal. Why'd they trade him?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know what didn't work there because, as you mentioned, it's such a great family, the Chycruns, and such a great story when he came here and he wanted to be here. And so I have no idea what didn't work there, but you could just tell at the end of the season that they're set to go in different directions. And, quite frankly, the deal that sends him to Washington to bring in Nick Jensen, the 3rd-round pick, is pretty underwhelming from an Ottawa standpoint. Although I do like, on the whole, what they've done in the offseason, especially adding Linus Ullmark for the Boston Bruins. I think they felt they needed more defensive defensemen. You've got Thomas Chabot, you've got Jake Sanderson. They're going to miss that bomb from the point because, Chabot's a guy that, while he skates well and moves the puck well, he doesn't have a great shot for the power play. Sanderson, he's got endless potential. He's going to be Ottawa's best defenseman for the next decade. So certainly love what he brings to the table. But yeah, I don't know what the issue was with Chychrun and the organization. I haven't been able to really snuff that out. But for whatever reason, it felt like both parties were looking for a change of scenery at this stage, and wishing Jacob all the best in Washington because, as you mentioned, such an awesome family.
Well, I guess if you can shake hands and not take it personally, it is what it is, right? And you move on. AJ, always good, brother. Always good. Good luck Friday in Winnipeg. Man, let's do it again soon.
Likewise, Roddy. Take care.
AJ Jakubec, the voice of the Ottawa REDBLACKS.